Thank you all for coming to our last event for our Ramp Up for Recruitment series with HDSI. We're excited to bring you this event here because a lot of students have come up to us and told us that they have difficulty coming up with an elevator pitch. And so luckily we have Margaret here to talk about how to create an effective elevator pitch. Margaret, would you like to take it?
Yes, thank you. Let's see. All right. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Margaret Zolke, and I am the Career Advisor and Alumni Relations Specialist for the Halijah Lou Data Science Institute. So, for those of you who are just joining our Recruitment Ramp Up series, you may recognize me as I was the first advisor for the undergraduate program of the data science program at UC San Diego. While being an advisor, I went through a training program which led to a national certification as a career advisor. With our first graduating cohort last spring, the Institute saw a need for continued support of our alumni as well as specific career advising for our current undergraduate students. Our director, Dr. Rajesh Gupta, has always been committed to individual advising for data science students at UC San Diego, and I see this new role as an opportunity to offer just that. So to clarify, my appointments are offered to current data science majors and HDSI alumni only, but students outside of the major are welcome to submit specific data science career questions to the data science department through the virtual advising center. Since I typically only work with data science majors and alumni, I'm so excited to team up with the Data Science Student Society to offer support to all UC San Diego students interested in a career in data science through our Ramp Up for Recruitment series. So as I said, this is our final workshop of that series. If you missed the first two sessions, or if you attended and it was just a lot of information, we do plan to share those recordings both through the DS3 website and social media platforms, as well as the HDSI website. Unfortunately, we don't have the recording just yet for the session that we held last week, but I'm hoping to have all three recordings available for the Monday weekly data science newsletter, eventually posted on the HDSI website shortly after that. But if you need help before then, feel free to directly reach out through your virtual advising center, and I would be happy to share those recordings with you directly once I have them. As a reminder, this workshop series is designed to prepare you for the UCSD Science and Technology Career Fair happening next Wednesday, October 7th, as well as the Data Science Talent Day on October 15th. For Talent Day, current data science majors and HDSI alumni have priority registration until this Friday, and then we'll open it up to DS3 members and other interested students. It may sound funny because technically classes don't start until tomorrow, but the recruitment season is already underway, and it's important to check your email at least twice a day moving forward to make sure you don't miss out on any important announcements or opportunities as you transition into the new school year. So to help set you up for success, today we will cover a few things leading up to how to craft an effective elevator pitch. First, we will discuss the importance of self-assessment, how to develop your personal brand, dive into the basics of an elevator pitch, allow time for Q&A, and then finally use the rest of our time together to actually practice your pitches. To practice, I'll have you either type your pitch into the chat or unmute yourself to tell me your best pitch so that I can then directly provide feedback needed to make sure that your pitch is ready to go for the upcoming recruitment season. Remember, practice makes perfect, which means I do not expect you to be perfect right off the bat. Use this time with me as an available resource to get those nerves out of the way and to receive some individualized coaching. If the thought of sharing your pitch with me and everyone in the workshop is a bit terrifying in this moment, that's completely normal, and that's exactly why you're here. My goal is for each one of you to not only know how to craft an effective pitch by the end of this workshop, but to feel confident in sharing it with the recruiters you'll be connecting with virtually during this season. So let's get started. In order to know how to best pitch yourself, you first need to have an understanding of your strengths before you can learn how to best articulate those strengths. One way to conduct a self-assessment is to simply self-reflect. I recommend asking yourself these following questions. What types of problems do I want to solve? What types of issues am I really passionate about? How do I want to spend my time? The great thing about self-assessments is that there are no wrong answers, but sometimes it can be challenging because it all has to come from within. It may not feel like it, but asking yourself these types of questions is essential to your professional development. I cannot emphasize this enough. The students that I see asking themselves these questions throughout their academic experience are able to utilize resources and opportunities while attending UC San Diego that help them navigate opportunities outside of the classroom that eventually prepare them for their desired career path. These students are the ones who feel excited and ready for graduation because they have used their time at UC San Diego to prepare for their transition out of UC San Diego. When students avoid asking these questions, they feel very lost, overwhelmed, and scared to graduate because they don't know what their next step is. The unfortunate thing is that everyone eventually has to make these decisions, but those who wait to do so until after they graduate are then left figuring it out on their own rather than with the support and resources available while attending UC San Diego. So the last point I want to make with this is that it's okay if your plans change. It's okay if your goals change. You are allowed to evolve and grow. That may not always feel like the case, especially when we have capped majors that don't really allow you to explore different major options, but that doesn't mean that you can't still explore your options. Asking these questions is the first step. While the first step is sometimes the hardest, it gets you moving forward. It doesn't matter if it's the right direction because the main point is that you are moving rather than at a standstill. Take the time to ask yourself these things now. It will help you articulate your strengths and goals to both yourself and to recruiters, which ultimately will better your chances of actually achieving them. Here you'll see 12 UC San Diego career competencies. I bring these up to show you that career competencies extend beyond technical skills, and so do your strengths. Think about the areas that you are strong in and use this list to also identify the areas where you may not be as strong. Identifying weaknesses is just as important as identifying strengths, as this is also a great tool to help you navigate which opportunities to pursue. I like to use the analogy of when bodybuilders skip leg day, like this individual in the picture I have here. You can't just only work out the areas where you already feel strong. In order to be healthy, you need to work all of your muscle groups. The same concept applies to your professional development. You can't only work on your technical skills. You also need to pursue opportunities to build your communication skills, your critical thinking skills, your leadership skills, and so on. Sometimes the best opportunity is one where you can turn a weakness into a strength rather than only building upon the strengths you already have. Again, the more you can self-assess both your strengths and potential areas for improvement and growth, the more confident you'll be able to navigate opportunities that will provide the experience you need to accomplish your goals. If self-reflection is something that you really struggle with, there are a ton of great tools out there to help you. My personal favorite is Red Bull's Wing Finder test. This is a self-assessment that takes about 30 to 40 minutes to complete. Once completed, it sends you a PDF that you can actually save for future use, like if you are writing your elevator pitches in preparation for a recruiting event and you want to tailor different pitches for different companies that speak to different strengths needed for those different industries. Or what it's really helpful for is when you are preparing for an interview and you know you're going to get asked that question about your strengths and weaknesses. What I like most about this particular assessment is that it identifies your strengths, but does so in a way where it tells you what to keep doing, start doing, and stop doing. This is essential for understanding how there can be sometimes weakness within a strength. So I'll use myself as an example. When I took the Wing Finder test, it told me that one of my main strengths is that I love to help people, which makes me a really great team member. However, I also have a tendency to put others before myself. So that was my stop doing within that strength. So in answering a question about my strengths and weaknesses in an interview, I would say something along the lines of, I love helping people. So a strength is my ability to be a very effective team member. However, I know that I have a tendency to put others before myself. Therefore, I am aware that when I am working on a team project or in a team setting, I need to make sure that all of my tasks are completed first before then offering to help my teammates with completing their tasks to ensure our team meets our goal. If you're interested in exploring other types of assessments, the UC San Diego Career Center has a few great tools available right on their website. Simply go to careers.ucsd.edu, hover over the first menu option, which says Plan for Your Future, and then select Browse Assessment Tools. These tools should also be available through Handshake as well, which all UC San Diego students have access to with their ucsd.edu email address. If you have not already gone into Handshake, if you take anything away from this presentation, go into Handshake immediately. This is where you will register for and attend the Virtual Science and Technology Career Fair next week, get access to virtual info sessions with companies and graduate programs, see recent job postings from employers who are specifically interested in connecting with UC San Diego talent, and a ton of resources like these assessment tools. So once you have a better understanding of your strengths, it's time to focus on how to portray those strengths within your personal brand. The term branding used to be reserved for businesses, but with the advent of social sites and the gig economy, personal branding has become fundamental. A personal brand is the unique combination of skills and experiences that make you who you are. It is how you present yourself to the world. Effective personal branding will differentiate you from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective employers. Developing a great personal brand doesn't happen overnight. It's imperative to be able to communicate your purpose and your mission to your audience in a genuine way. So let's think about some successful people and their brands, like Oprah. Oprah is undoubtedly the queen of personal branding. She has always stuck to her core competency, which is challenging millions of viewers to live the best lives possible by understanding their potential. By being true to herself, she has inspired millions to be their best selves. Or take Elon Musk. Elon Musk's name is almost as well known as Coca-Cola at this time. Even if you have no interest in technology, it's hard to avoid the brand that is Mr. Musk. Though he's a public figure, his recognizable face is absent from Tesla.com. Instead, shiny products and clear copy are what make his innovative brand unmistakable. Behind all these fascinating gadgetry is extensive research, development, and a team of bright engineers chosen by Mr. Musk. There may not be any photos of him, but his presence touches every part of his site. And lastly, Bill Nye, the science guy. So Bill Nye, he may be known for his bow ties and science dad jokes, but beneath the veneer of his popular appeal is a man who values increasing awareness and appreciation of science. His enthusiasm for reason and objective thinking are just as important to his personal brand as his skills as an entertainer. So his stage persona is the affable, goofy, uber nerd, but his background as a mechanical engineer elevates him from TV persona, blowing up test tubes full of colorful liquids, to a trusted expert. While his site promotes his books and online store, most of the content is science-related and accessible, especially for those who've never experimented with science before. So you don't need to be Oprah or Elon Musk to have a great personal brand. It's just a matter of continually crafting and curating your digital presence, and most importantly, keeping it real. Your honesty, transparency, and authenticity are what will differentiate you in the long run. So here's a great example using some of those questions that we talked about earlier. What are my interests? I want to make a difference in the world. How am I going to make a difference in the world? I want to work to make supply chains in Latin America more sustainable. How exactly am I going to do that? As a supply chain analyst with an organization that shares this goal and value. So whether you know it or not, you already have a personal brand. Whether you have a date maybe or a job interview, chances are someone is going to or has already Googled you to learn more about who you are. The question is, do you want to allow your online reputation to take on a life of its own or control the narrative? If you want to take control, you can use these types of questions and resources to learn more about your current brand and then make the necessary adjustments. So asking people on your team, hey, what am I the go-to person for this? Or asking your friends around you, hey, what's a good admirable quality about myself that you've noticed? Or even asking your family members, what are words you would use to describe me? Thinking about who is in your close circle, who you've had these types of experiences with, professional or just day to day, thinking about who you can ask to learn more about your reputation and the brand that you're putting out there, again, so that you can either help that identify what's important to you and what you want people to know about you, or maybe identifying, oh wait, I didn't realize that that was, you know, the type of personality I was putting out there. I didn't realize that I'm actually not a go-to person on a team, that I was actually a little hard to work with. Maybe that's something that I should work on. So using the people and the resources around you to identify your brand, to identify what's important to you, and then moving forward from there. Given our new virtual world, personal branding is more important than ever, as it's already more popular for recruiters to use social media during the interview process. According to the 2018 Career Builder Survey, 70% of employers use social media to screen candidates during the hiring process, and 43% of employers use social media to check on current employees. Another reason personal branding is valuable is that the gig economy is not going away anytime soon. So a gig economy is a free market system in which temporary positions are common and organizations hire independent workers for short-term commitments. So that term gig is a slang word for a job that lasts only a specific period of time. You can kind of think of a musician in that way. The average person switches jobs every 2 to 3 years, and it's expected that freelance and contract workers would make up 43% of the US workforce by this year, and that was before the pandemic. As a result, workers need to be able to clearly communicate who they are and what they do to stand out to prospective employers. If you aren't effectively managing your online reputation, then you run the risk of losing out on opportunities. Just keep in mind that, and this is something that we talked about in the first workshop with the LinkedIn profile, you never get a second chance to make your first impression. And so whether it's using your LinkedIn profile to control your personal brand and taking advantage of that opportunity to make that first impression, make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and truly reflect who you are and what you want people to know about you. All right, so you've learned how to identify your strengths, you've learned how to best communicate them and put them out there, and so now you're ready to learn the basics of the elevator pitch. So a personal elevator pitch is a quick summary of yourself. It's named for the amount of time it should take to deliver it. The duration of a short elevator ride, roughly 30 to 60 seconds or 75 words exactly. Elevator pitches are sometimes thought to be specific to an idea or product, but you can actually use it to sell yourself as a professional, and that's becoming more common with these larger recruiting events. An advantage of using an elevator pitch when speaking about your career or aspirations is that you can show you are capable of taking the lead. Instead of waiting on the other party to direct the conversation and potentially away from what you'd like to discuss, you can assertively explain what you have to offer. In many interactions, such as a job interview, a mentor proposition, or during that recruiting event, this can be impressive to your audience. They will be pleased to see you know what you want and how to ask for it. A polished elevator pitch is useful at these career fairs, especially where your time to interact with employers is often limited to just a few minutes. In this instance, use your pitch to quickly make a good first impression and stand out from other candidates. When you introduce yourself to an employer at a career fair, lead with your elevator pitch, but try to not jump into it immediately. And I have a video to share that kind of talks a little bit more about the science behind this. But first, exchange names and greetings. then the employer will most likely reply with, okay, great, tell me about yourself. And if they don't, then you could say, I'd love to tell you about myself. Would that be okay? And then you can begin your pitch. So like I said, I have 2 videos to share. So the best way to craft an effective elevator pitch is to focus on the following: who you are, what you can offer, and why you are talking to that particular person. Remember, you want to craft each pitch to the specific audience you are speaking to. Pitching yourself to a faculty member for a research opportunity will be different than pitching yourself to a recruiter for a summer internship. You may focus on similar things, but you always need to remember who you are speaking to and why you are speaking to them in order to make your pitch effective. To give you additional support, here's a great format to follow. So as you start working on your pitches, the best way that I would summarize how to make sure that it's effective and the best way to craft an effective elevator pitch is to understand your strengths, develop your personal brand, use that information to craft an effective pitch, and then speak that pitch with confidence and ease. So I know this is a lot of information, so let's pause. We'll take a little bit of time for some Q&A. If you have any specific questions or concerns, please put them into the chat. We'll address them with the next few minutes. And then I do want to leave some time at the end to practice our pitches. So before we get into that practice mode, any questions or concerns about all the information that you've heard today, please send them my way. And if there aren't any questions, then we'll move on to the practice. But I want to make sure that we kind of cover anything before moving on to that next kind of phase of the workshop.
Would you mind going back a slide for about 30 seconds?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I do have another kind of format that I'll leave on the screen as well for when we are practicing. So don't worry, it's not, oh, I don't expect you to remember everything right away. But this is a really nice format to follow: my name, my goal, what my major is, you know, and so as you're kind of, I think it's helpful with that last video we watched about those sparks, right? Seeing maybe whether it's your goal that makes them raise their eyebrows, or maybe it's specific skills that you talk about that raise their eyebrows, or maybe an accomplishment, or the last thing that you say to really make yourself stand out. Really look for those cues during that conversation. I know not all of those body language cues are going to be available in the remote environment, but you do have that face-to-face still available, and you will still have that face-to-face available during some of the recruitment efforts that we're planning through the Halijolu Data Science Institute. So definitely keep those things in mind and pay attention. It's not just about saying your pitch effectively, but it's about kind of responding to the person and picking up on those cues as you share it. So Advitya just asked, what should be the total time for an elevator pitch? So you do want to keep it short, no more than a minute. So I would recommend between 30 and 60 seconds. Now, that doesn't mean say it as quickly as possible, because it's not effective if they don't have time to kind of process what you're saying. So it's more about what's most important for me to share. What can I maybe fill in later or save for later, but what's the most important thing for them to know, and what do I want to share as my first impression? And then additionally, how do we distribute time among all these sections? So again, this is just kind of a format or a guide. So another way you can think about it is maybe, you know, taking this format, right, and kind of writing this all out, and then time yourself to see how long does it take me to say everything. And if it goes beyond a minute, okay, that might be a little too long. So maybe instead what I want to do is maybe I want to condense my relevant classes and my skills. For me, I'm a huge fan of not really talking about your course titles because our program is so new that not all recruiters really know what that means. So that would be my recommendation, is take out the specific classes and focus on the skills learned through those classes. Or maybe you want to, you know, condense your background and your accomplishments. I'm a data science major with provost honors, and I'm currently taking these classes to get these skills. And I think what makes me really unique is that I'm extremely passionate about sustainability efforts, or something like that. How should we avoid or fill in awkward silences? That's a really good question. So, you know, I think that, you know, it's what I always kind of recommend, and this is also for like interviews as well, is first just kind of like take a breath, so that you're not just standing there and your anxiety is rising, but take a breath. Sometimes you can kind of take a sip of water if you're just kind of waiting on a response from that person. Sometimes it is awkward, like I know during the recruitment fairs, when you're like standing there and you're waiting for them to kind of comment on the resume that you just shared. And so that, I think, is a really great thing of, while you're waiting there, if it's been a little bit, do you have any questions that I can answer for you while we have this time together? Or, you know, I think that's also where doing research on the company in advance can be really helpful. So, you know, I'm so excited to connect with you because I actually learned about this position through LinkedIn that I think I would be a really great fit for. Or, hey, I actually just saw on LinkedIn today that you guys posted this article or this announcement about this new technology. Do you know anything about that? I think that's really interesting. So the preparation you do in advance will help give you tools to handle those awkward silences. But again, these recruiters, they're meeting a lot of people, they're taking in a lot of information, they're processing. That doesn't mean that you have to fill every piece of silence. So again, taking those breaths, maybe having a sip of water to make sure that you're not overwhelming them, are also good tricks just to kind of help you manage, you know, the anxiety and awkwardness that we all feel during those down times of between the conversation. Let's see, what else is in here? Should the big goal section be related to what our future career goals are, or as in why I'm speaking with them? That's a great question, and yes. So I think, so again, you kind of want to tailor it. So if that company and that position with that company is related to your long-term goals, let them know that, you know, hey, my long-term goal is that I want to do this, and that's why I'm really excited to talk with you today. Or if you are, maybe you don't really know what your big long-term goals are yet, and that's okay. So maybe your big goal is landing a summer internship. And so again, it's really going to depend on who you are and where you're at. So maybe it's, hi, I'm Ayush, and I'm really interested in landing a summer internship with your company. Or, hi, I'm Isaac, and I'm going to graduate, and so I'm really interested in jumpstarting my career in data analytics. So that's where, you know, the goal is going to change and evolve. This pitch isn't going to be used through, you know, every recruiting event with every company. And that's where you do just want to take that time to really self-reflect and self-assess, so that you know how to tailor and how to adjust those pitches based off of the audience that you'll be speaking with. So I think the biggest thing with kind of crafting this all together, right, is that it's not just about writing the best pitch. It's about doing the work beforehand so that you are able to take advantage of each opportunity you have, so that you craft that pitch in the most effective way possible with that specific person that you're speaking with. Let's see, I'll give it, you know, maybe 1 or 2 minutes for some more Q&A, and if not, I'd love to get started with practicing your pitches.
Great. And Maggie, another question that came privately is, would these slides be available through the website?
Yes. So we will be eventually uploading the recording to the HDSI website. And so that way, again, I know it's a lot of information, it's a lot to digest. And so I do hope to get them uploaded soon. I do hope to have this recording available to share in the weekly data science newsletter this coming Monday. But if not, or if I'm not able to get it up on the website as quickly as I want or before the Science and Technology Career Fair, then just email or send a message through your virtual advising center to the data science department, and I'll share the recording with you individually. Oh, this is a great question to end on before we move into the practice. So, how do we deal with imposter syndrome and trying to find out whether or not and why we should feel qualified? So this is a really wonderful thing that I'm really glad that you brought up. So imposter syndrome, for those of you who don't really know what that term is, what that means is that you kind of feel like a fake and a fraud, and you feel like people are going to find out that you're maybe not as good as you say you are. And so that kind of keeps you from pursuing opportunities or even talking about your strengths. And that's where I see these self-assessments as a major tool for you, because everybody experiences imposter syndrome. I experience imposter syndrome. This is my first time giving a presentation on elevator pitches, and I was nervous. So it's totally normal. Everybody has those feelings and thoughts of self-doubt. But what's important is that you identify ways to not let it make you an obstacle, because there's already so many obstacles out there that you don't want to be your biggest obstacle, right? And so sometimes when you are feeling really overwhelmed, you're having a hard time thinking, what is my strength? That's not a strength, that's not good enough, and compared to that other person, that I'm weaker than them, you know? So when you have that self-assessment and you have something literally telling you, based off the way you answered these questions, your strength is your critical thinking. Your strength is your analytical mindset. Your strength is your compassion. Your strength is, it tells you so that it's not a question anymore. And so using those self-assessments to kind of give you that information, it really is, you can kind of think of it as, data and fact, that it's a scientific, model that they follow, and a lot of those other ones too. So like Myers-Briggs or this or that, that's all coming from psychology. And so that may not necessarily be like the type of science that you're familiar with, but that's not just kind of coming out of thin air. And so using those tools and those assessments give you that knowledge and that confirmation that yes, those are strengths of mine that I can now speak about. And and if you even are feeling uncomfortable speaking about it, saying, well, I did a self-assessment and what I learned is that these are my strengths. So now that's no longer, the pressure is no longer on you to be saying, these are my strengths. When you have that self-assessment to rely on, it really does give you that strong foundation of really for your confidence. And that's probably one of the biggest hurdles for people to get over, is that, it's okay to be novice. It's okay to still be learning. It's actually a really wonderful thing to have a desire to learn and to want to be coachable and trainable and to still want to learn things. And so when you are applying for these positions, they know that you're a student. They know that you are looking for an opportunity to learn. They are not expecting you to know everything. And so just being honest both ways, right? So not feeling like you have to say that you're an expert, but also don't discredit the knowledge and skills that you do have. So, just make sure that when you are talking about your strengths, that you don't say, oh, well, I'm kind of okay with this. If you're going to talk about it, then really kind of own it. And if you need help to do that, rely on those self-assessments. If you need help with that for the technical skills, That's where LinkedIn can be really helpful with those kinds of skills tests, because again, it's saying, okay, yep, we verify that you have this skill. So there are a lot of ways to kind of build that kind of profile and self around you, to build that self branding around you without it all having to come within. So thanks so much for asking that question. If you feel like, you know, you could use some more conversation around that, or some more resources around imposter syndrome, like I said, it's a very real thing that almost every single person, if not every single person, experiences. So definitely, either if you're a major and alumni, reach out and we can talk more during an appointment, or reach out to me through your virtual advising center if you're not in the major or an HDSI alumni, and I can direct you to some really helpful resources. So for practicing the pitches, we're actually not going to break out because it is a smaller group. And so instead, what I would like to do, here's kind of a format that you can follow. You can either type your pitch into the chat feature and I can read it, you know, and give you some feedback. Or if you want to practice saying your pitch with confidence and ease, then you can type within the chat that you would like to practice saying out loud. We can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. I just want to make sure not everyone unmutes at the same time and everyone talks over each other. So kind of saying that you want to do that in the chat, I think is a good way to kind of manage that. And, you know, before we get started, trust me, I know this is awkward, but you don't want the first time you say your pitch out loud or write it in a message to be to or with a recruiter. So I'm here, I'm happy to help. I promise this is a no judgment zone. We are all learning and we are all learning together. So the only mistake you can make right now is not really taking advantage of this opportunity for individualized coaching. So again, if you just want to type it in the chat, that's totally fine. If you want to say it out loud, let us know, and we'll give it a go. Again, I don't expect you to be perfect, and now is a great time to kind of try it out. And we only have 5 minutes left, so we won't have that much to do. I won't force you to do this for too long, but I do think it's a good opportunity. And so whoever wants to take advantage, I'm here and happy to help.
Hey Maggie, I can go.
Awesome. Let's hear it.
Okay. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm Anamika, by the way. I'm a third-year data science major at UCSD. And I'm really interested in applying all the technical skills that I've learned in the classroom to your industry. So I've had the chance to have a data analytics internship recently in the insurance industry. And I also work on developing mobile applications for UCSD with their ITS department. I really enjoy kind of seeing how technology and data science can be used to really address concerns that people have about either their workplace or their school environment. And so I love using tools and techniques such as natural language processing to really develop tools that help people. Do you have any information about how I could apply those things at your company?
Great, that's awesome. So what I got from that is that, you know, you have some experience. That experience has shown you what you like and what you want to focus on, what skills you want to make sure are incorporated in the internship experience, and can we support you and your interests and your goals? And that, I think, is amazing, because a lot of times with these recruiting events and with recruiting in general, People forget that like you're also, you know, interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. And so you are, what I'm seeing from you is that you know what you want, you know how to ask for it, and you're making sure that we have what you need to accomplish your goals. And so right there, what I would say is if I do, oh yeah, we've got this, and oh, that would be a great fit for you. And if not, oh, you know what? We actually we're not there yet, or you know what, we actually don't really use NLP that much. So that helps you know, oh, you know what, that's really good to know. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have anything else that you think that I might be a good fit for? And then you can continue the conversation, but that kind of shows you mentally, like, you know what, this maybe isn't the right fit. Time to go focus on something else. Not going to put all my eggs in this one basket. So I think that was really wonderful, Anamika. I think that you had your goal really well defined. You incorporated the skills related to that goal. And I felt my eyebrows kind of rising with your experiences, and also with really knowing what you want to do with your degree based off those experiences. So great job. I don't really have any feedback of what I would change about that.
Thanks, Maggie.
I know we're getting close to time. Maybe we could do one more. Oop, I see a chat. All right. Let's see here. All right, Advitya. Hi, I'm a senior majoring in data science, and I'm seeking a new grad data science opportunities. Most of my experiences are specifically tailored toward data science and machine learning. On one hand, I worked with a startup for 1.5 years with a data science role. On the other hand, I've also interned at large MNCs such as Fidelity International, PwC, and HP as a data science intern, and VMware as an ML and engineer intern. Apart from my industry experiences, I'm also involved in ML and systems-oriented research at UC San Diego's Advanced Data Analytics Lab, and also have received a few research scholarships. One of my questions is related to what I could add or to tweak. Okay, great question. So I think what I'm not getting from this is, you know, I know that you want a new grad opportunity, but I'm not sure what exactly you want, because you are telling me about your experiences, but you're not telling me what you're looking for in your next experience. And so I think maybe expanding upon your big goal. So expanding beyond just a new graduate data science opportunity. So maybe, hey, I'm looking for a full-time opportunity for a new graduate in machine learning, and then you focus on your machine learning. Or I'm looking for an opportunity that really can combine a lot of the interest and research that I have. From what you've shared with me, a lot of it is focused on machine learning. And so maybe even if it's just a small tweak like that, I'm looking for full-time machine learning opportunities for new graduates. And then from there, you know, that experience that you have, like on that one hand, that's not as related or not as focused, it's not like it's bad, but when you're thinking about what do I want them to know about me, you don't want to overwhelm them, because sometimes, especially for recruiters, because they're meeting so many people, it's finding the right balance of having them see that like you are a right fit and there's a lot of potential with their company, versus having them not really sure where you fit in because you have a lot of, you know, here and here and here. And so by really focusing it on, I want an ML full-time opportunity. This is all my ML experience along with my ML research. And then following up with a question to kind of instigate the conversation, I think that would actually be much more effective than just kind of including all those great experiences you have. Because again, you're probably going to have given them your resume. They're probably going to be able to see all of that. But the whole point of the pitch, it's an opportunity for you to basically highlight what you want out of the resume. So kind of jump out what you want to jump out at them, you get to say it exactly to them. So that's the feedback I would give. Again, it's great. It's all great info, but let's focus it and tailor it around you. First identify your specific goal and then tailor it around that specific goal. Okay, great. So, so one final question I think before we sign off for the day is, maybe you don't really know what you want to do, and maybe you don't have a lot of experience. So when it comes to kind of filling those things out, you're having a hard time because you don't know what your big goal is. You don't really have a lot of experience to refer to. That's totally fine. Again, you have to kind of meet this with where you're at. And so maybe if thinking about that long-term goal is really overwhelming, maybe you start small, and maybe your goal is, I want a summer internship to get experience to help me navigate all the opportunities available to me as a data science major at UC San Diego. Or, hey, I'm really looking for an experience within this field because I think I might be interested in this long term, but I'm not sure yet because I haven't had the opportunity to really work in that field yet. It's all just really about the way that you tailor it and communicate. Again, think about, you have to know what you want in order to get it. And if you don't know exactly what you want, then take a step back and, okay, well, what do I need to figure out what I want? And then that's what you ask for. I like that saying that, like, a closed mouth can't get fed. You know, you have to be able to really be able to identify what it is you need and want. And some of that self-assessment will really help you with thinking about where's your starting point. Even if you don't know exactly where you want to get to, that's totally fine, because it's probably going to change and wind around on the way. But thinking about, well, instead of thinking about what do I want to do with my life, think about, what do I need to figure out what I want my long-term goals to be, and start there. All right, I know we're a little bit over time, so I really appreciate you all sticking around. Like has been mentioned, we are recording. The recording will be available on the HDSI website, DS3, the DS3 social media as well. If it takes us a little while to get it on the HDSI website, feel free to reach out to me directly through your virtual advising center. Get on Handshake. Register for that UCSD Science and Technology Career Fair happening next Wednesday. Majors and alumni, if you have not already done so, please complete your RSVP form for the Data Science Talent Day for your registration. And for students outside the major that are interested in that, get connected with DS3 so that you know when that registration is open to students outside of the major.
Cool.
All right. I think that's it. Thank you all so much, and best of luck, and good luck with classes starting tomorrow. Really appreciate you attending, and hopefully we'll speak with you all soon.